all activities will be accomplished for you to pass my course. Okay. And I think 1 week man deadline for that simple question is long enough. Okay. Again, reminders po, you have to answer the questions. Yung mga natanggal kasi they did not click yes sa recording, you can join in again. Again, everyone should click yes para mag-start yung recording. Okay? O, sige, let's continue the discussion. Oh, wait, let me just share my screen. Yeah, allow. We are 33 na lang. 34 out of 60. Okay. Sige. Our last meeting, we have discussed about the economic method. Now, let's just have a recap. Ano ba ang economic method? So this is the step-by-step process on creating solutions to an economic problem. First is stating the problem or identifying the problem. Next is applying the relevant economic model, which we are going to discuss as we go on through this course. 3, identify solutions. And when we say solutions, it should not be only one. No, it should be multiple solutions. After identifying multiple solutions, we now evaluate the solutions, selecting or assessing which is the best solution to solve the problem. And after that, we now select and implement the solution. As I've discussed last meeting, selection is one thing, while implementation is another. So even if we have identified the best solution to an economic problem, improper implementation, it's still it will not solve the problem. Okay, let's continue our discussion from here. So the next topic is the common pitfalls in economic method. Now the problem with economic method is it is not perfect. It still have negative aspects. No? And the following are the negative side of the economic method. First is the biases and preconceptions. The use of personal judgment in the analysis of facts. Okay. Ayan. So, when it comes to creating policies or solutions to an economic problem, it is still based on the expertise of the one who will do the analysis. No? And the problem here is all we have different expertise or field of specialization. For example, for me, my field of specialization is on finance. Kayo naman, ang field of specialization nyo is more on hospitality management. And when we try to solve an economic problem, we will be having different solutions. Now, let's think of an economic problem. Okay, let's say that the tourism industry in the Philippines, what should we do? Should we open our doors to guests, to tourists, or we should close because pandemic pa rin? No. In my opinion, since my field of specialization is finance, of course we need to open, no. But we have to limit, no. We have to make protocols. Kasi very important pa rin, there should be an inflow of cash. Okay. How about on the point of view of an let's say someone who or the field of specialization is more on health or the DOH. Their concern is more on the controlling the spread of the virus. So they might say otherwise, no? Wag muna natin i-open. Again, we have different preconceptions. No? For you guys, if your expertise, let's say, is hospitality management, what would be your suggestion or solution? I guess you would agree with me na we should open our doors to tourists. Tama ba? Ayan. Again, it is based on the field of specialization or expertise of the one that who will make the analysis. Okay. Move on tayo sa second pitfall. Naririnig ko na may sarili ko. Ooh, creepy. Again, kindly turn off your microphones kasi nag-feedback sa akin. Sige, let's continue. Second common pitfall, we have the loaded terminologies, employing long definitions for some concepts and emotionally loaded terminologies. Now, this is a common problem when it comes to economics, especially for some who has no background in economics. And they were, let's say they are talking to someone who has background in economics. The terms is nakakatakot. Some of the terminologies in economics are, if I may say, highfalutin, no? Very heavy kung papakinggan. But these terminologies or these concepts are something that we do on a daily basis. So we can relate to these concepts. But because of the terminologies used, minsan natatakot tayo. We stay away from the discussion just because of the terms used. Next would be the fallacy of composition, assuming that what is true to the parties is also true for the whole. Economic solutions are is a case-to-case basis. It depends on the area, it depends on the party, on where we are trying to solve an economics problem with. I'll give you an example. Our economy, the Philippines, is very different from other economies in first world countries, let's say America. Let's have an example na the economic problem is how to increase the wealth of an individual, yung kanyang assets or kanyang pera. In America, the solution would be that since they have excess cash or they have excess savings, they should invest the money to grow. Ba? Invest the money for it to grow. But in the Philippines, yes, we can do that. But a large portion of our population do not have the capacity to invest. Why? Because they have limited income, there is no savings, there is no extra cash. Okay? So the solution made in America might not be effective in the Philippines. Again, this is a case-to-case basis. Okay? That is the fallacy of composition. There is no solution that can solve all economic problems. All right? Next. Ulit to. Dito tayo sa post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. No, this is a Latin phrase. Presuming that if one event precedes another, it necessarily the cause of the latter. This is now the cause and effect. No? Cause and effect fallacy. Now, I'll give you an example. During the pandemic, the cause is the global pandemic and the COVID-19. What is now the effect to the economy around the world? Siyempre, we are forced to stay home for 2 weeks. Yung lockdown natin started from 2 weeks, naging 1 month, naging 2 months, naging 3 months, etc. All businesses should close, meaning the economy should stop. No? When the economy stops, everything will go down. Our GDP will go down, the value of our currency will go down, everything will go down. That is now the effect. Okay? Cause and effect. And last is, what is true for depression is true for prosperity. Fallacy. Inducing similar theories and policies in dealing with varying economic situation. Same to sa fallacy of composition. No? There's no theory or one policy that can solve all economic problems or economic situations, especially when it comes to policy making no, sa ating government. Ayan. The policy made in 1990 is not already effective in 2021. Okay? That's why we must be continuously improving, changing policies, diba? Revising policies, so that it could help or it could solve problems in the current time, okay? In the current economic situation. Okay? Even theories are constantly being changed, constantly being improved to fit on the current situation. Okay? Yeah. So those are the common pitfalls in the economic method. So before I continue, do we have questions? Ayan, mag-question po kayo. If you have questions, just type in dun sa ating chat box. I will read them later. Tingnan natin. 38 na tayo ngayon. Okay. Sir, okay, no question so far. Sir, no question po. Ayan. Mary Ann, are you using data? I think ka-data ka lang no, Mary Ann. You can turn off your camera para hindi matakaw sa data yan. Kasi baka maubos yung load mo. You can turn off your camera. Ayan. Malakas sa bandwidth yan eh. O gusto mo ano. Ganda ng bahay nyo ah. Parang bago yung pinapatayo yung bahay. Anyway. Alright. Let's continue to the approaches to economics. Ayan. Approaches to economics. So we have two. We have the positive economics and we have the negative economics. So let's try to differentiate. No? Positive economics is the approach used that tells us what is. Now, this is the current, the present situation of the economy. It is factual, objective, and it is used to describe the occurrence of a phenomenon based on the given data, the present data. Usually, positive statements in economics are quantified. It is highly quantitative, meaning that it is supported by data, figures. Okay, there's always numbers. No? The positive economic approach is more descriptive than predictive in its usage. So it's trying to describe what is currently happening in our economy. It is positive economics. While negative economics is the approach that tells us what should be or what ought to be. Okay? It is more subjective and more judgmental. When I say subjective, it now depends on the expertise, the experience, and the field of specialization of the one that will do the assessment. Okay? In practice, normative statements are far more difficult to quantify. So this is highly qualitative. In contrast, the normative economic approach is more predictive than descriptive in its usage. If positive economics is telling what is the current situation of the economy, negative naman will say what would be the future of the economy. That's why uh, it is predictive in nature. Okay? Ayan. And last natin is the macroeconomics versus the microeconomics. Our key terms, again, let me just remind you from our past discussion. When you say macroeconomics, this is now large group. This is a large group. While microeconomics naman is for an individual or small group or household na sa bahay. So let us define. Macroeconomics is the study of the relationship of broad economic sectors making up an entire national or global economy. When we make economic decisions on a national level or in the Philippines, it is still macroeconomics. For Asia, macroeconomics. For the whole world, macroeconomics. For Cordillera Administrative Region, again, it's still macroeconomics. Studies aggregate supply and aggregate demand and use as average, general, absolute price level. For microeconomics naman, studies decision-making of an individual, economic units, such as you as a consumer, or one producer, or one household. What do we mean by household? Yung nasa bahay niyo, one family. Ayan. It is also considered as microeconomics. Especially with our practice in the Philippines. Usually, a common Filipino family, there is one breadwinner or the one that brings income for the family. So that unit, yung family na yun, can be considered as microeconomics. Okay? All right. Oh, that is the end of chapter 1. Pero again, as I have said earlier, there are special topics that I will be discussing for today. Okay. Again, let me just remind you that ayan. Punta tayo dito sa 1B. Okay, but our deadline for the last activity is today. So again, ito pala, there are still 14 na hindi nakapag sagot. Let me just remind you, itong 14 na to. Sino itong 14 na to? Ablasi, Pedelos, Martin, Cabintos, Takandong, Edwas, Alay, Batinay, Limoak, Abitria, Odanga, Belino, Rivas, and Yang. So make sure to answer the question within today. Okay? And please don't give me yung mga basic answers, no? For example, I need to study economics for me to pass this subject. Okay. I will give you a failing score kung yung ganun yung sagot niyo sa akin. And this is a one-week assignment. Make sure naman na may laman ang inyong answers. Okay? All right. Now, the question is, sabi dito, as a BSHM student, how can I apply the concept of economics in my college life? And most of you answered, but eventually, you want to put up a business, which is a good answer kasi you will be using a lot of economic concepts, no, when you run your own business. And I guess some of you are already having your personal business, di ba? Yung mga nagsa-sideline, yung mga nag-buy and sell or nag-go-online selling. You can still use basic economic concepts. Now, to help you with your business or your future business, ayan, I will be discussing ito. How can we relate business? How can we relate business to economics? Or are they related in the first place? Let me just remove this kasi this was my discussion in the other university. Ayan. Okay, so let's start. Ayan. Now, for today, we will be discussing the first three topics, the foundations of creating a business. We will define what is a business, why do we need businesses in the Philippines, and what are the benefits of pursuing a business. No? Even if you are a small entrepreneur who have a small businesses, you need to know these three. Okay? Ayan. Starting with, what is a business? Ayan. Diba, what is a business? Is it a monkey business? Okay. Hopefully, you do not have any monkey businesses there. Okay. So let us define. A business is an entity that seeks to profit from an economic activity. And what do we say by an economic activity? Diba? In economics, there is the demand, there is the supply. There should be a bridge between the demand and supply. The supply will come from the businesses. Let's say that you have a food business. Ayan, bibake ka, which is this. You are now producing on the supply side. Who will now buy or consume your product? Diba? The one on the demand side or your customers. Ayan. Sabi ko kanina, it is now bridging the gap between demand and supply through economic exchange. And what is the economic exchange? You will give now the ube cheese disal to the customer. In exchange, the customer will give money to you. Okay? There is now an equivalent exchange, and that is the economic activity. So any activity na ginagawa ito, you are already performing a business or you are already a business. Okay? In the Philippines, let me just remind everyone now, once you will do a business activity or an economic activity, you are already considered as a business. Therefore, you must register your business. Anyway, we will talk about that in the future, on how to register a business. All right. In this process, there are several key ingredients needed to be to support an economic activity. Now, these are called the factors of production. In a business, you must have these resources. So what are these resources? Ayan. Traditionally, we have three resources to be used on a business. First is human resource. Remember that once you put up a business cannot run without people. Okay? You yourself is a person. So you are a human resource. Even if you say, sir, mag-isa ko lang po na ginagawa itong sideline ko na business. No? But if you want your business to grow, eventually you'll be hiring more people. That is called the human resource. And they say human resource is one of the hardest resource to manage. Bakit kaya? Dahil ang tao, you must keep them motivated, you must keep them happy, you must keep them well compensated. Okay? And balancing those three is very challenging for a business owner. Tama ba? Ano ba iniiwasan natin? Di ba? Iniiwasan natin yung hindi sila productive or yung hindi sila pumapasok or yung bigla silang magwewelga. kasi it would affect our operations. So keeping those three, yung keeping them happy, motivated, and well compensated is one of the hardest economic decision a business owner will do. Okay? What else? We have the natural resources. No? These are the resources that can be found on nature, such as raw materials. If you are a food establishment again, no? A bakery, yan, hindi na ubi cheese disal lang yung product mo. You have other products, pandesal, loaf bread, etc. Raw materials will come from the natural resources. Okay? And when it comes to the usage of natural resources, should limit, always limit, para hindi maubos. Okay? Another example would be if you are a land developer. Ayan, syempre, you have to cut trees. No? Pagputo lang ng puno, it will take minutes. Pero yung pagtanim at tumubo siya, fully grown tree, it would take years. No? Again, so we should limit our consumption. And last is you should have financial resources or capital. Okay? You still have to need to get capital. Okay? Either, pwede siguro may ipon ka, or kung wala kang ipon, you can always loan from a financial institution or a bank. Ayan. So, here are the three major resources if you want to put up a business. Okay? Now, there is a fourth factor of production which is very important. Now, this is called as the entrepreneurship, or the one that who will make decisions in maximizing and properly managing these resources. Remember that these three are scarce resources. Hindi po yan unlimited. Okay? Hindi po yan unlimited. So there should be someone that could properly manage these three. Okay? So how can you properly manage human resource? Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, they should be happy, motivated, and well compensated. How about natural resources? Natural resources, this is scarce. No? So we must maximize the raw materials to come up with the best possible number and quality products. Okay? How about financial resources? A good entrepreneur can turn, let's say, 100,000 pesos into 1 million pesos in a matter of months by properly managing financial resources. But a bad entrepreneur can turn 1 million pesos into 100,000 in one day if it is not properly managed. Okay? I hope you get the idea. No? The entrepreneur will do the decision making in maximizing these resources. So your role, if you one day you want to put up your business, your role as the business owner is very important. Okay? And so we have already defined, we have already defined what is a business. Second question would be, why do we need businesses in the Philippines? Do we really need businesses in the Philippines? Okay? So let's try to analyze the current status of businesses in the Philippines. Okay. When it comes to gross domestic product or GDP of the Philippines, in 2018, we have 6.2%. 2019, 5.9%. Then came in 2020, biglang nag-drop siya to 2%. What could be the reason? Of course, it's because of the global pandemic. Diba? Everything nag-shutdown. Everything nag-lockdown. No economic activity. That's why it dropped to 2%. But in 2021, it has been forecasted that it will jump to 6.5%. Bakit kaya? Kasi we are now experiencing the recovery from the 2020 pandemic, which means that many businesses will continue to operate. But this is only possible if there are more entrepreneurs. That's why the role of entrepreneur is very high right now, very big right now. So if again, may you have your sidelines doing your sideline because you're actually helping with the GDP. Okay. All right. When it comes to the distribution of establishments, the role of small businesses is really big. Okay. MSMEs or micro, small, medium enterprises, excuse me, These are small businesses, small entrepreneurs. They make up 99.57% of the total businesses in the Philippines. 0.43 are only from the large companies such as Jollibee Food Corporation or SM or San Miguel, yan yung mga big corporations natin. 0.43 lang po ang percentage nila out of all the businesses. So, small time businesses do really plays a big part, no? Especially in contributing sa GDP. Ayan, no? 99.57% will dictate 6.5% increase in the GDP. Ayan. So I hope you realize the importance of small businesses. Ayan. It really helps the economy. When it comes to the employment of MSMEs, ayan, 63.19% of all employment provided to our population will come from the small businesses, and only 36.81 will come from the large businesses. Even when it comes to employment opportunities, malaki po ang role ni small businesses or micro, small, medium enterprises. Yan. So again, para sa mga sumagot ng I want to become a business owner someday, that's why I need to know economics. I hope you still have that mindset, no, even after you graduated yung BSHM course. And it would really help our country. Okay, so how can small businesses help the economy? Number one, they are the number one providers of employment. No? Provide employment opportunities. Especially, we experienced yung pandemic last year. Up to now, there are a lot of people who still haven't have employment. No? Nung may employment naman sila, no, nawala because of the pandemic. If more businesses will open, more employment will be provided. Okay, what else? Innovation and competition, especially in the hospitality industry. This is very important. Kung pala tayo sa restaurants, no? If we have competitor restaurants, di ba anong ginagawa natin? Usually, di ba, we improve our offerings, our dishes. At the same time, decreasing the price. No? The lowest price possible. Yan. The other restaurant will do the same. At nandun na yung competition. Diba? Pagandahan na sila ng product. Who will benefit? It will always be the customers. Okay? Ayan. Number 3 is mobilizing.
Sir,
Nagulat ako. Ano yan? Yes, may question.
sir, merong dalawang students po na hindi daw
Kasi
makapasok.
3:30 napatapos na tayo. Okay, sabi. Nagulat ako naman sa... Nagulat ako doon. Let's continue. All right. Ano tayo? Okay. Mobilization of funds. Nakita niyo yung reaction ko doon. Anyway. All right. Okay, provide innovation and competition. Sabi dito, mobilization of funds, there is a high need for people to spend their money or use their money or invest their money at mag-circulate siya. Diba? People will use that money. Companies naman will get that money. They will use that money to produce more goods. At babalik yan sa customers. Parang cycle yan, yung mobilization fund. And by doing that activity, the value of our currency will go up. Okay? If we move our money. Okay? Sir, so ibig sabihin ba nun, gastos lang kami ng gastos? No. You just move your money. Aside from spending your money, you can use your money in other ways, such as spending, saving your money, put it in a bank, or investing, or pwede mong ipautang to companies. Okay? Not other individuals, kasi yun yung pangit na magpautang, but you can lend your money to the financial institutions. Okay? Ayan. Always use your money. Now, in Facebook, I'm sure you have encountered, there is a trend, di ba, na yung peso cents. Nakikita ko yan eh. Na if we try to put a certain amount of money on a daily basis container, meron ka ng ganitong amount by the end of the year. Although the concept is good, kasi pero for the economy, that activity will not help our economy in any way. Kasi, again, we must circulate our money, di ba? Kailangan umiikot ang pera. Hindi dapat siya nasa stock sa isang container. Also, siguro you have heard the news na hindi na pwede mag-hoard ng coins. That is also the reason kung bakit meron tayong policy na ganun. Hoarding of coins is not allowed. Yung iniipon sa mga jars. Kasi nga, hindi siya nagsusirculate. Okay? Hindi siya nagsusirculate. Kaya kung meron kayo dyan yung mga linagay nyo ng mga coins, siguro sa mga alkansya nyo, try to put it in a bank. Okay? You put it in a bank para mag-circulate ang inyong pera. What else? Tax base. Ayan. For all entrepreneurs, no, they are paying taxes. So saan ba napupunta ang taxes? It will now be used for infrastructure, the development of more schools, hospitals, library, parks, ayan, buildings, roads. Ayan. So it really helps on the development of our country. Okay? Diyan po napupunta ang tax. And last is we have now the identity of communities and nation. Eventually, you are a small business, then you will become a large company, a global company. The world will know about your product and the world will know about your origin. So, dala-dala mo pa rin yung Philippines. An example of this is Jollibee. A Jollibee it started from a small businesses, and the very first product of Jollibee, if you can guess, I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe most of your answers is the Yum Burger, but the very first product of Jollibee is actually an ice cream. Okay, ice cream. Tony Tan Kachong, the owner of Jollibee, decided nung siya ay bagong graduate, decided to franchise Magnolia Ice Cream. So that is the very first product. And ang second product niya is Yum Burger. Ang reason niya is, sabi niya ang ice cream should have a partner. Yun lumabas yung burger. Okay? Ayan. Now, from a small business who is selling ice cream and burger, it is now a global company that is known around the world. No, hindi lang siya pang Philippines. Magandaan nito, if this company have branches outside the Philippines, it will bring in more money for the country. Again, it will help our economy. Okay? Ayan. So hopefully, yung mga gusto mag-business dyan, you will reach the level of Punitan Kalchong, Jollibee Food Corporation. Okay? So according to Devin Thorpe of Forbes, entrepreneurship brings value to the fight against poverty that all players, such as the government, corporations, and NGOs don't. This is now the solution to poverty. Hindi po government ang magsusolution sa poverty, but entrepreneurs, businesses. Okay? Yeah. All right. Do we have questions? I hope by now you know the importance of putting up your own business and how does it help our economy. Okay? So yung mga sumagot dun sa assignment natin na it's my plan to put up a business. Again, I hope your mindset will not change. Okay, so what are the benefits in pursuing a business? Okay, let's try to compare first an employee from an entrepreneur. Let's analyze their pros and cons. Okay? Hindi po bawal or hindi po masama maging employee. Hindi masama maging entrepreneur. There is benefits, there is disadvantages. So let us discuss. For an employee, what are the benefits? Just stick to the schedule. So an employee is only required to work from 8 to 5. Okay? Other hours, he can use it for his personal time. Yan ang kagandahan ng employee. What else? You can now stay in your comfort zone. For example, if you are a hospitality professional, ang problemahin mo lang is your field. So you do not care about accounting, law, or the legal stuff in your company. You just stick on what you know. Ayan. Speaking, do your stuff and you are safe. Once you are employed in a company, the HR will give you the list of duties and responsibilities you need to do for that company. And if you can accomplish those duties and responsibilities, you are safe. And if you are safe, you have fixed income. Okay, even if the company will have a huge gain or a huge loss, you will still be receiving the same amount of salary on a monthly basis. Good work, no worries. No, you are safe no, with your job as long as you do a great job. For the negative side naman, syempre you are working for someone else. Okay, I guess some people do not want this. You are working for someone else. You work, you work, you work. By the end of the day, the company will benefit, not you. You are building your boss dreams, not your own dreams. Trying to climb the ladder if you want to be promoted, sometimes you have to do unethical things, no, para lang ma-promote, no. Kasi that is the, especially for private, some private companies, trying to be promoted is a bloody game, sabi nga nila. You need to get your hands dirty, sabi nga nila. You need to depend on your boss. Whatever the decision your boss made, you have to follow. Even if you think yung decision na yun is not good, still you have to follow. And you work to live the weekend. You are working 5 days just to have time for yourself for the remaining 2 days. No? How about an entrepreneur? Yeah, let's try to analyze in the pros and cons of an entrepreneur. For the pros, you are your own boss. Yan. I think most of us, or all of us want this. Tayo ang boss natin. You are building your own dreams. You are setting your own working hours. You are not bounded no 8-5 na schedule. If you want to work 2 hours a day, assuming that your business has already been established, you have hired the right people for the right job, you have someone who manages the business, you can skip, no? Pwede kayong wag na pumunta sa business niyo, or you can only visit your business 2 hours a day. You have your own hours. Full control and ownership. You are now creating jobs for the community. Potential for unlimited income, and I think this is the goal for all entrepreneurs. Once you have reached the momentum of your business, it is constantly growing. Even if you do not want income, you will still be receiving income. Example again is Jollibee Food Corporations. Kahit pahiga-higa na lang si Tony Tancachong ngayon, he will be receiving income. Meet other people with the same interests and the excitement, no, of putting up your own business. How about the negative side of building a business or being an entrepreneur? One of the hardest things, no, for students is to discipline ourselves or yourselves. No? If you want to be successful in your business, you must create a schedule. No? And you must stick that schedule, commit to the schedule. Taking a big risk dahil you will be investing in resources, yet you can still fail. Okay? You can still fail on your business. And there are a lot of businesses talaga who are failing. For the reason is, wala silang discipline or they are improper management of resources. Yun yung mga usually causes ng hindi pagiging successful na isang business. What else? You are never 100% safe. Everything you do, even if you are expert on your field, may isang mali lang nagawa, it will be posted sa Facebook. Yan. And social media, ang bilis kumalat ng news yan. Especially for bad news sa isang business. High level of responsibility. Also, when you have people, you have hired employees, you are responsible for their welfare. Ayan. Okay. So by now, we have analyzed the pros and cons of being an employee at the same time entrepreneur. So let me ask you guys, please chat in sa type box, which do you prefer once you graduate? Do you want to become an employee or do you want to become an entrepreneur? Sige nga, type in your answers and we will read. Reminders, there are no wrong answers. If you want to be an employee, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. So please type in sa chat box. Let me read. Let me read. Okay. Employee. Ayan. Si Ivana, sabi niya, she wants to be an employee. Okay. Press, he also an employee. Specially, Ayan, entrepreneur. Okay, entrepreneur. Ayan, employee. Okay, so we have mixed, no? Nakakatakot kasi for some who have answered employee, I do understand no na nakakatakot talaga mag-business dahil especially now there's high risk no for your business to fail. But if you want to really take the risk, no, your business had succeeded, the potential for a larger income, or yung unlimited income nga sabi nila, would be better as compared to becoming an employee. But then again, this is based on your preference, so it's okay no if you want to be an employee. May nagsabi dito si Abigail, both. Sir, pwede bang both? I could be an employee. At the same time, I could be an entrepreneur. Actually, that is possible. And I'm sure most of you will do this once you will have your work na in the future. Even if you are employed, no one is stopping you to become an entrepreneur. Again, when we say naman business, hindi to agad large business na corporation agad. Even yung the act of reselling no, sa Facebook or nag-live selling ka or nag-buy and sell ka ng clothes or even plants, you are being an entrepreneur. And doing that little activity, you can still be an employee. So yung sagot na both, that actually you can do that. Ayan, entrepreneur, employee, entrepreneur, yan. Alright. Okay, good answers. Others, tulog na. Okay. Ayan. So let me tell you a short story. So are you familiar with this person? Nagay ko kasi si SM. So you know that this is Henry C. Henry C, hindi agad siya SM corporation no, na nagtayo siya ng business. He started from a very, very small business. No? Napakaliit na business na tingin nyo, hindi uulad. So the story of Henry C is at the end of World War II, ang ginawa niya is kinolect niya yung mga sirang sapatos from soldiers. He repaired those shoes and nag-resell siya ng sapatos na repair niya. That is why the name SM is Shoe Mart. Kasi the very first business model of Henry C is repairing and selling shoes. So in this picture, this is the very first stall or retail store ni Henry C. Isang maliit lang na store, ang binibenta niya is shoes. At nag-concentrate siya from yung repairing and selling soldier shoes, doon naman siya sa women shoes. Okay? A very small business. Eventually, one of the biggest companies like in the Philippines who is paying the largest tax for the Philippines, employing the largest number of, giving the largest employment opportunities for Filipinos, and having a name around the world already. No? For someone who started with a very, very small business. So it is really possible. It is really possible. Ang ano lang dito is you just have to take the risk. You just have to take the risk. Alright? Ayan. Let me read. May mga bago pa tayong answers. And entrepreneur. Okay. We will continue our discussion next synchronous meeting natin. And we will tackle what types of business you can, what are the legal forms, etc. etc. Okay. Do you have any questions? Questions? You ask your questions before we end our meeting. And hopefully, yung mga nagsasabi ng entrepreneur dito, you will be having the same mindset in the future. Kasi you will be really helping the economy. For those who said employee, I guess, okay naman kasi in the hospitality industry, once you go to the management level, especially for hotels, very rewarding din yung mga yan. And once you now on the top or supervisory or management level, you will be also doing economic decisions. Let's say if you are the hotel manager, and syempre you are in charge now, diba, of managing resources such as human resource, your supplies, even yung anong tawag doon, yung pakikitungo sa guests, ayan, pag sila ng mga complaints, ayan, it will always involve economic decisions. Okay? No questions? No questions? All right. Now, before we end, again, we need to have a mandatory picture taking. So please, everyone, turn on their cameras so I can see that you are still awake. I hope you are still awake. So, sige. Ayan. Mariel ang first. Ronald. Eliza. O mag-ingat ka dyan. Nasa labas sa ata, Eliza. Others, please. No camera means absent. Unless you type na, sir, hindi gumagana yung camera ko. Others. Lian Carr. Let me see your beautiful faces and handsome faces. Ganda ng hair ni Syra. Oh. Red na red. Pati ang lips red. Others, yeah. Precious. Jones. Abigail. Lian. Joshua. Ricky. Rachel. Hindi ko makita yung face ni Rachel. Sir, di ko naligo. Okay lang po. Okay. Sir, nakahiga pa ako. Bangon saglit. Sir, di ako nagsuklay. Okay lang po. Ayan. So, mag-screenshot ako in the count of 3. You give me your best smile. Wait now natin si Joshua. Okay, Joshua, we will wait for you. Okay. Miss Alaya, you still up? Okay, sige. Count of 3. Smile tayo. 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay. Uy, umabot si Joshua. Very good. Okay, so that's it. That's my discussion for this synchronous activity. I will see you on the next synchronous activity. Make sure to be posted on the activity that I will be posting later. So goodbye. You can log out now. Goodbye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye po.